Hey everyone! There's this common experience that all ttrpg players have had at least once. Someone goes, "Oh, you play that dragon game," and you don't correct them because someone just showed interest in your thing. So you start telling them about your campaign, and their eyes start glazing over. I already talked about some of why this happens. They're not interested in the story because they haven't made any investment in it. There's no memorability in something someone gushes at you about. But there's another reason. Emotional connection. One of the major factors influencing how invested we are in a story is how emotionally connected we are to it. If you like arts and crafts, you're more likely to be drawn to a character who is a smith. If you like to spend time outside, you can better understand a ranger type character. This type of interest-driven empathy with characters is only the start of it though. If you connect with a character, the entire story can be bland and unexciting, and still you'll feel some intrigue because you like that character. That's basically what fanfiction is all about. From that idea, we can conclude that a good character is a character who enhances the story they're in. You connect with a character if they have the same interests as you, but that's not all that causes you to feel connected with a character. Sometimes a character who's very unlike me manages to interest me tremendously. The reason for this, spoiler warning, is internal conflict. A little something we'll discuss later on. For now, I'm going to walk you through 3 steps that you can use to create your character. Each step will make your character more fleshed out and suitable for the type of dramatic storytelling that we like to do on this channel. GMs, you might want to stick around as well to find out what your players are doing and how to best help them. With all that said, let's get started. Step 1. The shape. At first, we need to make your character's vague shape. This shape is currently a nameless blob, so let's give them at least a name. Some people like to make names big things, some say they need to feel right and all of that, but think about it, those people usually take ages to come up with the perfect name, and even then it sometimes feels way too deliberate. Names are stupid, even in real life. Just stick any name on your character, maybe after a few thoughts about gender, species, and what culture they're from, and see if it works. If it doesn't, rather than renaming your character, let your character have an opinion on the stupid-ass name their parents gave them. Create intrigue and backstory instead of perfection. Now that your character has a name, they need everything else. There's a lot of stuff to do on a character, but before we start doing stuff, we need to make sure that you, the player, will enjoy what comes out of the other side. There's a bunch of characters that are technically good characters that you couldn't pay me enough to play, because I don't enjoy playing them. So, think about what you are invested in. That could be a hobby, a thought exercise, a story hook, anything else. All you need is that little starting morsel of intrigue, that tiny bit of inspiration that makes you feel nice about starting from there. Don't look for perfect, look for fun. There's nothing that's too cringe, edgy, or whatever else you want to call it. Not if you enjoy it. Once you've found what you're invested in, consider the tone and setting given to you by the GM. Usually that will be something you got from the intro of the campaign, but don't hesitate to talk to your GM about it. If there are any aspects of the tone, or even better the setting, that caught your eye, talk about it. I swear to you, most GMs will be incredibly happy someone is showing interest. Once you've done that, you've got something that sounds fun to you and a part of the tone/setting that speaks to you. This is the point where disfigured concepts start to become clearer. You'll take those two and combine them into an archetype. There are probably hundreds of character archetypes, from traditional roles in theatre and fairy tales, such as the hag, the princess, or the knight, to more modern ideas like the archetypes in the hero's journey. Stuff like the mentor, guardian, or even hero. You could go a little esoteric and pick the vibes of tarot cards, make them into a character archetype. Or maybe there's a particular character you really enjoy in some piece of media you've consumed. If that's the case, you can condense them into a superficial, stereotypical archetype. Don't worry about being original or even good, just brainstorm and research until you've combined your 2 points from earlier into something resembling an archetype. Once you've done that, your character is starting to take shape. Sure, they're a bit generic right now, but we'll fix that later. Let's take a moment to look at gimmick characters. Gimmick characters are characters who, regardless of the situation, have one defining characteristic. Many characters by newer players who don't really know what they're doing yet are gimmick characters. They don't play, for example, Matthew Garrett, Cleric of Milan, Diplomat of the Crown, instead a gimmick character called the Cleric. Sure, they have a name, backstory and all the required stuff, but in essence they play one beat over and over again. In this case, that's their class, the Cleric. Sometimes archetype and gimmick can be the same thing, like with the Cleric, but they don't have to be. A character whose defining characteristic is that they're a nerd who likes books can be a gimmick character. Their gimmick isn't class, their gimmick is book. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with gimmick characters, but they're one note by definition, and while that may be fine for a one-shot, they get old really fast. Still, having a gimmick isn't bad. In fact, I recommend giving your character a gimmick. We'll just need to make sure that they're much more than their gimmick, but more about that later. A gimmick can be the examples above, but there's really no limit to what can be a gimmick. Essentially, you're looking for something that people look at and immediately connect with your character, even out of game. Has-Been Hotel, for example, gives Lucifer the gimmick of being obsessed with ducks, while Mace Windu from Star Wars has a purple lightsaber. These are examples for character gimmicks that don't define a character, but are instead defined by the character. That's how a gimmick should be, enhancing the character instead of subsuming them. With all that said, we are now theoretically ready to move on to step 2. However, at this point you know how it goes. This is a how-to, so let's get practical and build our own character so you can see the theory in action. Devon Porter is the name of my character. Don't worry about it, think a little bit about gender and setting, but not too much. We can always change it if we really don't want to keep it, but for now, move on. Let's assume we're creating this character for the Hometown Showdown campaign I created in my last video. That means the setting is nothing special, some high fantasy, Faerun kind of thing. While I'm not super intrigued by it, I don't mind that kind of setting. When I play in a setting like that, I'd like to be able to engage with it intellectually, ask questions and make sense of the world around me. Because of this, I'm probably going to have the most fun with an intelligent character who actively engages with the world. An artificer or a wizard maybe, but I've played those a bunch before and I've been listening to this weird fox person on YouTube lately who says that mechanics should enhance storytelling, so hear me out. Intelligence Warlock. There's no big mechanical reason why the Warlock spellcasting ability shouldn't be intelligent, so let's do that. Let me check real quick with my GM. Ayo, yeah? Intelligence Warlock? Sure. Ding ding ding! That is all we need for now. That's kind of how the conversation is supposed to go. So, I've got the thing I'm vaguely interested in, which is Intelligence Warlock. Now let me check the setting again. The intro description says that we've thwarted the plans of a green dragon, so that means we're kind of powerful at least, in universe. You can play level 5 as powerful or powerless as you'd like, but this time I chose to play a character who covets power. Let's say my character made a deal with the devil for their warlock powers. Combining intelligence and devil warlock gives us the impression of somebody who isn't overly morally concerned, somebody who covets power to do things. Obviously villain is the ideal stereotype for that, but I don't want to play a villain, because the campaign said we're heroes who thwarted a green dragon. Instead, let's go with a magician stereotype. Someone who seeks power for themselves to solve problems, the kind of figure who'd rather become the hero via dubious means than wait to be saved by one. I don't mind a gimmick, so let's give them something that fits the archetype. While my character is always down to bet small things and loves the thrill of a bet, they would never bet something they don't want to lose. They're not a gambler, even if they seem like one. No, they're a calculated risk taker. So, we've got the bare bones of a character. Pretty stereotypical ones at that. Let's make them better in step 2, the character. Congratulations, you've made a boring character that wears out after 3 sessions max. In this step, we'll look at how we can improve the bare bones template from Act 1. There is a very easy solution to my character's boring, how can I make them better? Conflict. If you introduce conflict to any character, it makes them more dynamic, more interesting, and even more sympathetic. Characters might have been shallow representations of archetypes at some point, but in this postmodern age of storytelling, we can do dramatic role-playing that gives everyone a chance to tell their story. Logically speaking, that includes your character. We sympathize with a villain who was mistreated as a child, but that's kind of all there is to that. The best villains and the best characters don't just experience conflict through their life circumstances or enemies. No, the best type of conflict is internal conflict. Internal conflict is shaped through the life of a character, but ultimately gives the character the agency to decide for themselves which side of the conflict they want to stand on. Actually gives them that decision, not just a false dichotomy of either you do or you don't. This internal conflict is something we all deeply feel, even at a shallow level. It's this level of emotional and intellectual investment that can be generated through internal conflict that we're aiming for in dramatic storytelling. Spoiler warning for Arcane, watch it, Django Unchained, and The Promised Neverland. What exactly is an internal conflict? On paper, it is a conflict with two warring opinions, beliefs, or courses of action that a character is undecided about because of emotional or intellectual reasons. What this means on paper is something like Jace Tallis from Netflix's Arcane. Jace is a scientist, but his thirst for progress wars with his morality, which reminds him that the weapons he invents will be used. Sure, there are characters who want him to stand on Progress's side, or remind him of his morals, but ultimately this decision is one he alone must make. In a similar manner, although much more direct, does the character Dr. Schultz from Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained have an internal conflict. Throughout the movie, we see that Dr. Schultz has moral principles that don't really align with his profession as a bounty hunter. Then, when he has the chance to successfully help Django and everything seems to go well, his internal conflict causes him to shoot Mr. Candy, which leads to his own death. Why did he do that? Because his morals won in his internal conflict against his need to be successful. As a side note, a character's internal conflict should only ever resolve towards the end of the story, because without an internal conflict, we're back at step 1. That's why writing a sequel is so difficult, and often ill-advised. My last example for a character with an internal conflict comes from the anime Promised Neverland. For once, the character in question, Ray, doesn't have a moral internal conflict. Instead, his conflict is his love for living life with his siblings versus his need to punish himself, and his self-sacrificial tendencies. The conflict is very well done, and shows it's not necessarily always be a good person or be successful. There are plenty of internal conflicts to go around. Religion versus science, politeness versus self-expression, even cultural internal conflicts within someone who belongs in two different worlds are all good stories. There are some internal conflicts that will work better for your character than others. Ideally, your internal conflict should be the unspoken yoke upon your character's back in every scene. That doesn't mean they need to be indecisive in every scene. It just means that we can feel that your character isn't quite certain about their stance in this matter, and it is haunting them. The shorter a campaign, the more clearly your character's internal conflict should be felt. Oh, and one more thing. Your character shouldn't start the story in the middle of their conflict. When torn between two opposing options, it's actually best to start them off at one end of the extreme, to then slowly gravitate towards the middle, or even opposed end of the spectrum. Storytelling loves extremes. A character who thinks both war and peace are equally okay isn't really interesting or believable, especially if they start the story that way. Now that you have an internal conflict, you might be a little confused as to how exactly you can express it. That's what wants and desires are for. A while back, in my first video, I mentioned a character who wants something, wouldn't sit around and do nothing. This is where those wants come in. A want is a short-term goal that can be achieved in about 3 sessions, like delivering a message, finding a place to sleep, or sign a contract with a political ally. How do you find out what your character wants? When you are confronted with any given scene, ask yourself the following question. Given what my character believes about their internal conflict, what option can I pick here that best expresses that belief? For example, if your character believes that the gods must be obeyed, but there's a little niggling voice in their head that says, "Eh," well then, if your character is presented a quest from a priest, it would make sense to initially accept that quest, but be on the lookout for some trickery. Ideally, you pick an option that shows both sides of the character's internal conflict, but showing only the one they're currently on is also fine. Doing both can lead to looking really indecisive if you're not doing it well enough. Desires are kind of like wants, but far bigger. A desire is an overarching goal that your character is working towards, something that they believe would fix whatever problems are currently plaguing their world. That can be either their personal world, or even the actual world if your game is more heroic fantasy than down to earth. An internal conflict informs the character's opinion about the world. It is the lens through which they view everything, especially their own actions and wishes. Their overarching desire is this magical fix-it-all, which the character is ultimately working towards. Good storytelling, of course, dictates that the desire isn't what they actually need. I strongly urge you to think not just about internal conflicts, wants and desires, but also the character's needs. Imagine the character's desire fulfilled, and you will often find that while they technically fulfilled their goal, it still feels hollow. That's because, Wizard of Oz style, they had no idea what they needed was friendship all along. Or revenge. Or apples. A need is so character specific that I can't go further in depth, but due to TTRPGs being a collaborative game with multiple characters that are often at least tolerant of each other, it's a cliche, but the need often turns out to be something like, I just want to be loved. If you have the balls to tackle that kind of story, which deals with vulnerability, social status, and often questions of self-worth, you'll find them to be very fulfilling without being shonen levels of cringe-worthy. The adjective is cringe-worthy. Anyway, back to my example character, the aptly named Devon Porter. The magician stereotype, which is where we last left Devon, yearns for power. We can put a new twist on this by saying Devon wants power, but they feel guilty for doing so. Despite their deeds, there's this part of them that feels like another person would be far better suited to wielding the powers they have. Let's test this conflict. Is it internal? Yeah, absolutely. There's not really a lot of outside influence apart from therapy that can change how they view themselves, especially because they believe that they're just posing as a hero. The more heroic deeds they commit, the more they'll feel like they're just deceiving people and somehow getting away with it. The conflict is 100% internal. What do they want when they start the game? Considering the character just thwarted a green dragon with their party, I think Devon might be realizing that stuff is real and dangerous. They'll be looking for a way to break their warlock pact. Making this a want means that we're getting close to it. They return to their village to end a chapter, so they've already got the ability to break the pact. They just need that last push to do it. We're not going to bother with the desire because this is a short campaign, but if pressed I'd say something like to have a world in which heroes are well chosen, or something like that. And lastly, what could their need be? Devon needs to let go of the imposter syndrome and become accepting of themselves. This would give the character peace, not being a better hero or living in a world where heroes are better chosen or some such nonsense. That sounds pretty good to me. Suddenly our magician archetype has a personality and already an interesting plot hook to begin the game with, the warlock pact breaking thing. Of course, this want is probably going to be thwarted by the fact that the peaceful retreat isn't so peaceful after all.
Foreshadowing as a narrative device.
But that's an in-game thing. Don't worry, I'll make a video on how to run a game at some point. I'll put it on the list. It's a very long list. At the very last, I would point out that a conflict that involves the character not doing something, like not being a hero anymore, is always very dangerous. Player characters need to be proactive, even if they're shy or cowardly. They can be so accidentally, despite their better knowledge, or even just be peer pressured into it. But proactivity is key. Protagonists doing things is the blood of any story. Devon is almost too passive, with somebody who doesn't believe that they're fit to do something. If there would be a character in the party who does what Devon does, just objectively better, then there would be no reason for them to stick around. This is dangerous. It can be averted by actively role-playing, by making them overcompensate for this perceived flaw with extra heroics, but you do have to be aware of it. Always make player characters do things, especially your own. Step 3. The person. Now that we have made the rough shape into a proper character, we have to convince everyone else that the concept is actually a person. Sure, we're doing dramatic storytelling, so realism isn't necessarily what we're going for, but there's still some things that would be a little weird. For example, if someone asks your character, there's going to be some wolves on the next travel route, you got experience? The question becomes a little awkward when you have no idea if your character's interested in animals, grew up on a farm or in the woods, or even what they think of wolves. Interests are a large part of what makes us interesting as people. I like to give my characters 3 different topics they're interested in. One that makes sense, one that's a little unexpected but still self-explanatory, and then one that makes everybody look at the character and go, what? How? When? Why? And if you think about it, you'll find that a lot of people have that. The quiet kid that's really into Transformers movies. The religion and economy teacher who plays first-person shooters in their free time. That kind of thing helps you to keep your characters believable and organically supplies a topic for conversation when you want to do some role-playing but don't quite know how to initiate it. Just pull out your character's weird interests and suddenly you'll be bombarded with questions and side-eyes. Kind of relevant to that is your character's history. This is their backstory, but more importantly, their life experience. What have they been through? What lessons and preferences has their life given them? It can really pay off to think about the life your character has led so far. For those who are a bit too much into their research, this is the part where you can watch 20 YouTube videos about making swords or knitting or herbology. It's fun, and helps you authentically portray your character's life through the thing that they do. Keep in mind though that we need to be able to see your character's history. Just because you say they fought in a war, that means nothing. Only when we see them taking extreme care of their blade, being the first to rise, having difficulty sleeping, only then do we feel like your character has served in a war. History and backstory differ in that regard. What you say is relevant. What your backstory is irrelevant. What we can see and feel is your history, and that is what matters. Related to this is something I like to do. When you make a character, you worry about stats and stuff, and we'll get to that, but you could also try asking your GM about the place the campaign will start, or even be in if you're lucky. Your character's history is most interesting when we see it happening, and there's nothing better for that than NPCs and places that are, for a lack of a better word, yours. Stuff like where you live, the shop you go to, the guy you met at the local bar. Contacts, places and items help you bring your character to life and tell your history, even if your character wouldn't necessarily do that outright. I recommend 1 to 3 contacts, NPCs related to your backstory, played by the GM but created by you to some degree. Usually I go for the holy trinity of helpful, problem-causing, and equally helpful and problem-causing for the 3 contacts. This balances out nicely, and can even be a story hook for the GM to sink their claws into. If you're very clever, you can even make these contacts relate to your internal conflict in some way, either aesthetically or metaphorically, or both. If your internal conflict is violence versus retirement, why not have a retired bounty hunter as your bad contact? You also want to think about the ways in which your character's internal conflict can be conveyed to other players, and even NPCs. Obviously, your character wouldn't think about this, but this is dramatic storytelling. Your internal conflict can be the greatest in the world, but it is worthless if we don't see it happening. What sets your character's internal conflict-o-meter off? What situations would they avoid? Which ones embrace? I'll talk at length about how to play a character in a different video, probably. So for now I'll leave this here. This video is getting out of hand as it is. Lastly, and this is a formality really, you want mechanics that match the character we've built so far. You know the mantra by now. Mechanics serve the story. That means you want to take everything we have so far and build a character that can feel like the character we've built. This often requires some finagling, but it is absolutely worth it. When the dice and mechanics support the story told, that's when dramatic storytelling in TTRPG is at its absolute best. So, for Devon, we can pick 3 interests. the interest has gotta be local legends. Due to their status as hero and warlock type character, it makes sense that they would know about devils and spirits and all that jazz. You kind of have to know how to summon a devil before you can summon a devil. At least most of the time. For the weirder one, I'm going with the lute. The musical instrument isn't too weird for anyone to know, but it's still not something we usually see from the whole power-hungry go-getter with imposter syndrome thing. The fact that our performance is probably quite low gives us a nice idea of somebody who tries to play the lute for fun, but is just good enough to play a few songs. Nothing great. And for the weirdest one, I'm going with a hyperfixation on herbology. We can say that their mother is a gardener, and that's where they got it from. Nothing about this interest is even remotely related to any aspect of Devon's character, so it comes totally out of left field while still being interesting and explainable. Even though this is an example, I'm not going to go through the history with you. That would balloon the runtime of the video to at least twice the size. A few things to consider would be where they grew up, their relationship with their parents, how they made the Warlock Pact, where they got their interests from, and how they met the rest of the party. I think for contacts, we'll have one person, one item, and one place. The person is the local alchemist, whom Devon met because of the herbology thing. They have a good relationship, but the alchemist also represents what Devon could have become were they not fixated on being an adventurer, a quiet, content professional, who seems to have everything sorted out. As for objects, it's gotta be their lute. Anyone who plays an instrument can understand the attachment you have to them, and for place, we can go with a place they can visit to think, a quiet, solemn place for contemplation. The tree they used to climb as a child, an ancient oak. That also gives us a nice place in the village to play in when the campaign actually kicks off. Now we just do their stats and there we go. That's a full character who has a conflict that may be resolved during the campaign. Those who saw the previous video might also notice that this internal conflict works particularly well in the campaign, because it's all about moving forward despite doubts, or stopping what you're doing. What a happy coincidence. That is all for now. I hope you liked what you heard today. Goodbye everyone, and happy storytelling.